Good afternoon. This is September the 14th at 4:20 in the afternoon. And this is a meeting of the Finance Committee. To my left, Mr. Doug Tremblay. To my right, Mr. John Swayzer. And my name is Tom Kendall, Chairman of the committee. We have one item to come before Finance today, so Mr. Titterington.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Before you, you have a recommendation of the Loan Review Committee. We received an application from Steve Smith, who owns and operates the Caroline. Mr. Smith, Mr. and Mrs. Smith actually, are proposing to purchase the building in which the Caroline resides, known as the Dye Building. They came before the Loan Review Committee requesting the assumption of the loan that is outstanding with the current owner, Mr. Tony Blundell. The Loan Committee reviewed his request on September 12th. They are recommending the following, and I'll just read these for the record. Assignment of the 2017 Medallion Investments loan to the Smiths, LLC. The final name to be determined because they are in the process of setting up an LLC specific to this building. Amendment of the loan agreement to provide for a new renovation phase of 2 years, resulting in within which time the third story would be ready for occupancy at the conclusion of those 2 years. Amendment of the loan agreement to require monthly interest-only payments during that 2-year period, after which the loan would become a 30-year loan of monthly payments of principal and interest. Collateral would be a mortgage on the property based on an appraisal that is underway. We would hold a second position behind the Greenville National Bank, which is another investor or loan lender in the project. The second mortgage from Medallion would be released once all the payment of any accrued late or unpaid penalties, interest, and the outstanding principal, of course, would be paid off. Steve and Melanie Smith and Steve and Melanie Smith LLC would provide personal guarantees up to the amount of any gap there is between the appraisal and the amount available from that appraisal to cover our second position. Mr. Blundell has a personal guarantee as part of his loan that would be released after again the payment of any accrued unpaid interest and late fees. All other terms and conditions of the original loan would remain in effect, which would include the interest rate of 2%, simple interest. And the loan committee recommended that council, and we are requesting that council consider emergency legislation. They anticipate a closing in early October. All things going according to plan. And so emergency legislation would be necessary in that event.
In fact, I think the closing date was October 4th.
I believe it was the 4th.
So.
And the applicant is in the audience.
Okay.
I'm sorry, one of the applicants is in the audience.
All right, thank you. Mr. Swayzer.
Yeah, just a couple of questions. This is not going to cost the city any money. All we're doing is transferring the loan amount, the existing loan amount, over to Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
In fact, with this, we, at the end of the period, we do come out whole with all the interest and late payments and all that would have been from Medallion. So.
Okay. What about the people that were invested in the third floor? Jack and Lisa Bell, I know, had a vested interest up there, and they've been kind of I guess there's something lost in litigation. Is all that taken care of also?
Well, of course, that's between Mr. Blundell and the Bells and anybody else that might hold any kind of lien positions. But we would not exercise this loan until we had a clean closing, if you will. And for that to be clean, that would require all of these other obligations to be taken care of. It's our understanding that they have reached agreement that is part of the closing process.
Okay. And last question is the loans being taken, is that enough to cover the construction costs also of $375,000?
For the third floor, no. So that would be something that once this is closed, because the closing, and this money is only going towards the purchase. That's why it's an assumption and not a new loan. So, at the point that they're ready to look at finishing the construction on the third floor, they recognize that would be a new financing that may or may not involve a city application or simply bank financing. They haven't reached that point yet.
Okay. I have nothing further.
Okay. Mr. Tremblay.
So at the closing, when things happen in an orderly, stepwise fashion, and then when Mr. Blundell is out of the entire situation, then it's just a simple process of us loaning money to Mr. and Mrs. Smith, and they'll have the building and they'll have their business own the whole thing.
That's
It would be, loaning money to the LLC.
See,
That's
right.
established, right?
And any problems with the previous owner, they're all gone away.
They'll have to be resolved at closing.
Okay.
In order to get a clean deed.
And we don't step in until that point.
And that point is dictated by Grant Kerber that says that everything's clear then.
Yeah, Mr. Kerber will represent our interests as he has throughout this whole process.
Okay,
That's all I have.
that's all you have. Any other questions from the audience?
If I may. The late penalties, I believe they're $26,000. Is that a ballpark?
That sounds high. I think it was closer to 15,
I was
but
trying to read through the notes here, and I thought I had seen it, but I can't find it. Is that being absorbed into this loan, or is it Blundell?
no, the seller will have to pay that to us as part of closing.
Okay, so he's responsible for that?
Yes.
We will receive a check for that.
Okay, all right, very good. Yeah. And we will see that closing agreement absolving us of any possible entanglement in any other liens. I mean, we've touched on this, the Bells and others that may, but we will be guaranteed that everything is free and clear and free title to the property.
Mr. Kerber left.
He had
But,
his
yes,
wife
he
was in
will
an
be,
accident, so.
I guess we did. He'll make sure of that.
Okay, very good. That's all I have, thank you.
Yeah, that's, and the Greenville National Bank said that they will check before the closing starts and check again at the end of the closing to make sure
Excellent.
that nothing else has shown up.
Right, okay. So, well, is there a title insurance on this?
I know there's a title firm. I don't know if there's title insurance. I haven't seen the exact closing document. I imagine there probably is, but that's not something that we're in the middle of. Steve, do you know if there's title insurance?
Bill's taking care of it.
Yeah, that's
Our
his attorney.
Yeah, there's no, I don't think they're able to do the closing themselves. They don't need it.
Okay. The title company, you mean? Is that who you're?
No,
The
Bill
attorneys.
Harvey, the lawyer.
The attorneys.
Okay, all right. Very good, thank you.
Okay, are there any other comments or questions? Okay, Mr.
I'm willing to go forward with emergency legislation.
Mr. Slazer?
Yeah, Mr. Smith has, he has a wonderful restaurant, and he's been a good business here in Troy for 10 years, 15 years. So let's move forward with that.
Unanimous. Let's
Okay.
move forward.
Okay, thank you.
It's not 15? Is it 10? It's been 10.
10-ish, 10-ish.
Anything else before finance?
No.
No, sir.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you.